tutti frutti, get on the floor if you got that booty.
Get funky. 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 Get funky.
So I'm here with the legend Prince Rahiem. Prince Rahiem. Let's get into it. We done chopped down these minutes real quick, just trying to get on, okay?
Okay.
Let's just jump right in. Tell us about your upbringing in Hollis, Queens, and how you got into music.
Well, I moved to Hollis, Queens at the age of 12. At that time, Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, a lot of the acts that are legends in the game now were just getting their starts. It was the foundation of hip hop, the second wave after the 70s. And I was under the tutelage of a dude by the name of Rozelle. He was a beatbox. And a lot of people understand beatbox being the fifth element of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So he taught me a lot of different techniques to breathe in and different sound effects. So like he was doing a lot of things that a lot of other beatboxers weren't doing at the time. And I had a friend of mine named Devon. He was my rap brother, my rap partner. I didn't rap at the time, so I was nothing more than a beatbox. And what happens is my dude gets murdered right before we're set to open up the Run DMC tour. The people who took his life then stated they wanted mine taken as well. And my mom relocated me to Orlando. Once I got in Orlando, I stuck out like a sore thumb because I didn't talk like anybody. I didn't dress like the rest of them. So I stood out. And in the beginning, I had a rough go at it, but I met some dude by the name of Eddie Askew who we went on to claim each other as cousins. And he was like, man, there's a cypher during the lunch, man. You need to come and check it out. I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So we get there to the cypher and there's a circle full of dudes battling doing the beatbox. And I'm like, oh, I got this. Let's do it. So, you know, me being from New York, you know, we got that little cockiness about ourselves, that confidence. And I went in there and I destroyed them, you know, and it created a name for me. So a lot of people at the school were talking about me, but Eddie Askew in specifics was like, man, there's somebody you need to meet. He's the hottest DJ in Orlando and he goes by the name of Magic Mike. So he takes me around the corner from actually where I stayed at. And I meet Magic Mike. Mike meets me for the first time. He heard what I did. He fell in love with me. He was like, yo, we need to form a crew. I'm already running some things down here. Let's partner up and see what we could come up with. So we had this battle DJ beatbox routine that we used to do everywhere we went. And that's where the name, the Get Funky Crew, was birthed in the roller skating rinks of Orlando, Florida.
All over the world, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, like you said, you were like known for beatboxing, but you became a rapper in Florida after another death of one of your close friends. So what artists influenced you on that type of level in that creativity from Florida? Was it Florida or from New York that got you to rapping?
Well, in honor of my partner, Devon, who passed away, you know, I upon his death, stated that I wanted to pick up the mic and keep his legacy going. And this was my gift and my homage to him. So I had to figure out a way to rap because I had never done it before. Of course, I've listened to rap music, but when I moved to Orlando, they had a different sound. The sound was called bass music, and I had never heard it. Of course, being from New York, Run DMC and them records had bass in it, had boom in it, but nothing like what they were doing in Florida with the sustained bass. So it motivated, it inspired me. The first record I heard was MC 80's Bass Mechanic. And that record did something to me. It like really made me want to do this bass music. And I'm like, okay, so now I really got to figure it out. But before I could figure it out, we got to figure out how we could even get a deal. So me and Mike was going around hitting skating rinks, all these little spots that I was too young to actually get in. But because we were like the hottest duo in Orlando and everybody knew it, they gave me the carte blanche and I would have to go in, sneak me in, I hit the stage, and as soon as I'm off, they'd have to exit me out the building. You feel what I'm saying? So
because you were young.
This is how the Get Funky Crew began. These were the humble beginnings of the Get Funky Crew. We wound up doing a show, a talent show actually, at the Civic Center in Orlando, and a bass concert was on the opposite side of the Civic Center. And it had a lot of heavyweights like Dickie Hazley, Alan Johnston, who was in charge of Foresight Records back then. It had people from Joy Boy Records. Beatmaster Clay D was actually on the show himself. And this was the first night that I got to meet any of them, because ironically, they had an intermission at their concert while I was on stage beatboxing, and they came in and heard me. As soon as I got off the stage, everybody's running to me, giving me tick cards like, yo, man, you need to come to Miami. I can make you famous. But I don't know who none of these cats are. I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, I just left Run DMC, man. I never heard of a Clay D. Who are you? But this Clay D dude, he was persistent. He was a little dark-skinned goblin looking dude, but I loved him to death. You feel me? And I used to say to my brother, like, yo, bro, what's really good, Clay? What's good, man? He's like, let me say something, man. If you put your faith in me and you trust me, I promise I can make you a star. I didn't believe it, but you know, I'm in a place I'm foreign to, and I knew if I wanted to be in music, I had to take chances and take risks. So, of course, me not believing him, he said, 2 weeks, I promise I'm flying you and Mike to Miami. We're going to make a record. I'm like, yeah, all right. Thought I'd never hear from the dude again. So 2 weeks pass. I'm getting out of school, but I'm hanging out with my boys. So I get home late.
Right.
My uncle cussed me out. I walk through the door. He like, boy, where the hell you been? I'm like, oh, what's good? He like, man, you know that boy from Miami done called you. He done called about 11 times already. You missed your first flight. Mike already in Miami. You need to get your ass to the airport. I'm like, damn,
okay.
I'm like, okay, hold on, pause. What happened? He said, man, the dude call him right now. He gonna book you another flight. So I get on the phone, call Clay. He's like, man, I ain't even got you signed to a deal and you costing me money. What's good, man? Mike already down here. We need you. We trying to cut some records on some artists. I need you down here. I'm like, all right, book the flight. My uncle got me to Orlando, to the airport. I get to Miami. Clay picks me up. Back then, you know, Cadillacs was the big thing.
Facts.
Clay had a caddy with Louis Vuitton rag top, Louis Vuitton all through it, with a lot of bass in it. So this is my introduction to Clay D on his home field. I'm like, damn, okay, I see. I could like this life. If this is what this music gets you, yeah, I could like this.
Facts.
Get to the studio. And the studio is a studio by the name of Vision Records. It's the home of legends like Miss Betty Wright, God bless the dead. She was also signed during the time that we were signed to the label. It was a beautiful experience because we go in the studio and we weren't actually cutting the record for us.
Right.
Clay had got hired by another label to create music for two groups. One was a guy by the name of Half Pint. The other was Cool Rock and Chazzy Chaz. Half Pint was famous for songs like Stomp and Grind, Big Booty Hoes, and stuff like that. But ironically, out of all the music, Half Pint and all the albums he created, Stomp and Grind was the one that I penned for him. And it was my first time writing a rap record. But what I did was relied on where I came from. The tempo wasn't all that fast. It was a little faster than I was used to, but it put me in the mind frame of something that Run DMC would have rapped over. So what I did was I used a simple cadence, which their cadence was real simple. You know what I mean? That was their cadence. So I used the simplicity of that cadence to pin him his very first hit, which was Stomp and Grind. Right before that, we were in the studio creating what became a classic record called Boot the Booty with Cool Rock and Chazzy Chaz. So, you know, I was instrumental in a lot of those records. And it was me and Mike who kind of put the cement with Clay's production. We put the cement to it and we made it stick.
You made history. You also said in previous interviews that it was very hard for you to rap over the bass, but you found your rhythm. So how did you do that?
Finding the rhythm was trial and error, honestly. I promise you, it was nothing but trial and error. Clay had to gradually progress me through it, and being all honest, all of the tracks didn't start off fast. I told him, I said, bro, you have to let me build my confidence. I've never done this really on my own. So I need slower tracks. So he brought the tracks down to maybe like 100 beats a minute, which was more New York tempo. I could deal with that. So I started writing songs to those tempos. Unbeknownst to me, every new track that he presented to me, he had already amped it up by maybe 5 BPMs. So the next record I'm writing, I'm feeling like the tempo a little fast, but I'm not sure. I'm like,
Right.
man, that seems like it's swinging different, but okay, let me see what I could do to this. And I still didn't get the flow that I wanted. I was listening to, we had greats like 2 Live who had dropped in '86. We had MC 80E, who's my favorite artist because he was the first one who influenced and inspired me in the game. So he's always gonna be my favorite. Then you had like female acts like Missy Miss, you had Anquiette, you know, and I'm listening to all of their different cadences. And I'm like, I gotta find something that nobody else down here is doing. There was another group called the Enforcers. They had a girl named Fresh Celeste that was their sister. She was a monster lyrically. So I'm like, somewhere in here, I have to find my way and what's gonna separate me from the way all of them sound.
Right, right.
So what it was I finally got the courage and I'm like, you know what, Clay, I've written enough. I think now I need you to amp it up because I really want to try something. And the first record that I actually did a triple time flow on didn't come on either the first nor the second album. It actually came on the third album, which was Pull It All the Way Down.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's when I got my niche the way I wanted it, exactly how I wanted it. I knew who I was as an artist and I knew what my lane was. So it was like every album that I've done prior to that album, people can hear that I'm learning this thing. I'm trying to figure this out. And a lot of people really didn't know it because it felt good. I like to make what they call feel-good music. You did? So if it felt good to me, I felt it might feel good to somebody else. And we let it run and it stuck. A lot of records that we did, I ain't gonna lie, it was trial and error. We just put it up against the wall. We threw it up against the wall and was like, damn, this might be the one. Boom. And we take it to these DJs. We go in these little hole-in-the-wall clubs. We go in the strip clubs. And we're handing out test presses, you know, and we're like, man, play the record, see what the crowd response is. And once we would see the response, we knew if we had a record. That's how we tested our records back in the day. We go to the DJ, you know, and let them break it for us. If it was going to be a hit, it was going to be broken by them.
Well, you learned how to organically market at a very young age, just like you learned how to crowd control, because I saw that performance when you were 15 years old. And I know people always ask you about that explosive performance. Now I have 2 questions. You always give credit to other people about being as better than Dougie Fresh. No diss to Dougie Fresh, but you know, you said it was a cat in Miami that was like the best, you know, better than Dougie Fresh, but you never include yourself in that when you were doing different things with the beatboxing back then. Why is that?
I've always been a humble person. And I always gave flowers to others, you know. It's the thing where I felt like I know I did my thing for the South, representing being the first beatbox to come out of the South and actually do it on wax and on stage. I know with the skills I basically inherited and learned and honed in on, it was a thing where, you know, back then, for me to say that I was better than Dougie Fresh or felt that I was better than Dougie Fresh was sacrilegious. You know, I think that would have gotten me blackballed and banned quicker than anything else I could have said at that time. You know, that's like a mortal sin. You'd never say you're better than Doug. He's the first one. He's the greatest entertainer. You feel what I'm saying? So how you gonna say you're better? What I always told people was I was different. I was different. I did things that Doug didn't do. You know, Doug did the click with the beat, and that was about it. That's what you got with Doug. And you got the from the neck, but that was about it. You know, me, I wanted to do melody. So I'd mix it all up. You know, I might throw a little talk. So I did different things than what Doug was doing at the time. And being a hip hop fanatic from New York, the easiest thing for me to learn the beatbox were New York records, like Paid in Full, Push It. You know, those records were easy because of the melodies, and I loved the melodies. So it made it, like, for me, a no-win situation. I mean, my beatbox name started in the clubs of Miami. Clay would take me to this place called Big Daddy's 119. It was the first Big Daddy. They had a Big Daddy's 8600 as well. But he took me to Big Daddy's, and they used to have this thing in there called a gong show. Now, of course, I'm still a minor. I'm not supposed to be in this club. It's 21 and older. Yes, ma'am.
People how old you were, because you keep skipping over that when you hit that stage of 50,000. How many people was it doing the beatbox, controlling?
30,000. Over 30,000.
Over 30,000 by yourself. That was insane. That's unheard of. Now, Blue Ivy did it with her mom.
Let me tell you something. I enjoyed every moment because, again, I felt like that particular night, that particular show, the stars were aligned. How ironic would it be that the power would go out and the only things that were working were the mics?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And there's no such thing as leaving dead space on the stage. That kills your set. That's one of the greatest things I learned from Betty Wright. If something goes wrong, make something happen. Improvise, think on your feet, be quick on your toes. If you don't have a backup plan, you're going to be stuck. And people are going to remember that performance. That's the biggest thing that ever stuck, as she said to me. So this moment happens, and I could see Clay getting flustered. But my DJ's in the background behind us, and he's like, man, tell Rod to do some of that beatbox. And Clay was like, you know what? Man, it's funny, we get up here and our music go out, all the power go out on the stage while we on stage. But right now, Prince Rahiem, I want you to show these people how you get busy on the beatbox system. And from that moment, I felt like, this is that moment. As nervous as I was, that nervousness from the first beat turned into straight fire because that crowd gave me so much that I couldn't help but keep giving back.
Right.
So I gave them damn near every trick I had in my arsenal that night. And they loved it. People talked about that concert for years. You know, it was the Two Live Crew homecoming tour. And that was like the biggest tour that year. They had everybody from Ice-T, Slick Rick, Paperboy, Too Short. I mean, you name it, they were on that show, EPMD. So he had acts from all over the world on this one stage. And that moment became my moment.
Well, I'm glad because we're here now. So you were getting ready to tell us.
Yes.
Before I rudely interrupted you, do you know what you were getting ready to say? I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. I believe I was about to go into basically the Get Funky Crew thing and how that really, once me and Mike did what we did, as people know, there was a Get Funky Crew 2. And prior to it being a Get Funky Crew 2, Clay and I stayed together for 3 albums. And throughout the duration of these 3 albums that we created, we had different DJs. Magic Mike was the initial DJ. He didn't like the paperwork he saw and he parted ways quick. I stuck in there being a young, impressionable artist who had just left damn near having a situation with Run DMC. And now I have a contract before me. I couldn't walk away from it.
Right.
Feel me? Being that young, I felt like this is it. I can't let this go right now. So I stayed in with Clay. And after Mike left, we had to find a different DJ. We were touring at the time, utilizing MC Shadi's DJ Man. He would stand in for it until we found one. We wound up doing a show in New Orleans for LSU. It was their homecoming. And the big stage, you had a lot of artists on there. And I remember we went to an after party and there was this young DJ in there with no shirt on. Had a long chin. That's what I called him, long chin, because I didn't know his name at the time. And he was killing it. When I say murdering the set, he sounded like a baby Magic Mike, honestly. Because all of the tricks that I heard from Mike, I'm watching him do this at the party. And I'm like, damn, this boy fire. This boy fire. And honestly, I could say he was one of the only DJs that I would have ever stated was that nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You feel me? Mike, it got no better than Mike when it came to having a DJ in your crew. Mike was bar none. He was the top rated DJ in the Southeast.
Right,
you know?
right.
So to give someone accolades and say that they were, you know, damn near as nice as Mike, but far more younger, that speaks volumes of what he was doing back
Right.
And he did all sorts of tricks with the tables, things like that. And he became the new member of the Get Funky crew. So that legacy didn't stop with him. He left after years of us being together, him and Clay getting into a certain situation. And we brought in Swift C from Atlanta. Prior to Swift C, we had world famous DJ Toop, who's known for producing for T.I. and basically everybody in the world. So Toop and Mike Fresh were one of our DJs as well. We went through some DJs.
Yeah, I saw that, but I was like, well, it's no shortage of DJs. Y'all proved that for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We had a lot of DJs. And ultimately when Clay and I eventually parted ways, he started to Get Funky crew too, which became Mike Ski, Ebo, DJ Chuck, and Frank Ski. And they were amazing. I love them dudes. In the beginning, I used to think that they didn't like me because I knew Clay was mad at me for leaving. But you get to a certain point where, as an artist, you have to make decisions for yourself. I was a young boy when I first came into it. But within the couple of years that I was with Clay, I've grown and I learned certain things. And I just didn't feel things were going in the right direction. And we were both having different thoughts of where the music should go. I felt it was time for me to exit stage left. And for me, I think that was the best thing because I then created the biggest classic I made as a solo artist in my life, which was Lose My Money.
Right. And you talked about Lose My Money. So with that, tell us about the creative process behind that, because y'all didn't think that, well, not you, but the label didn't think it was going to be a hit.
You're absolutely right. So Lose My Money, it's funny how this happened. I have a brother, a fraternity brother. We have a fraternity we created called N5N, Nasty Fi Nasty. And because we were the nasty boys of Miami. And everywhere we went, people recognized we were the nasty boys of Miami. So what happens is we had one of our frats named Tim, Crazy Legs is what he went by as a DJ. And he would be at these different clubs. I would always go out to the club with him. He DJ'd at a couple of strip clubs, and he DJ'd mainly at this one club called the Inferno, which everybody from South Florida knew Inferno's was the club to be at every Saturday. If you wasn't there, you missed the party because everybody in the city was there. So I would go in there with him, and I noticed he would play Dance to the Drummer's Beat, but every time before he started it, he had this little saying he did. And the minute he let it go, the crowd would lose it. And I'm like, damn, okay, I'm a solo artist. I'm looking at this dude. I'm watching him do this. And I watched this for a couple of months. Because it took me a minute to determine where I was going to go with my project. I wasn't going to rush it. I had time. So a couple of months, I'm riding with him and I'm like, yo, Legs, that thing you be doing at the Infernos, man, you want to put that on a record? He's like, man, stop playing with me. I'm like, bro, I'm dead serious. He was like, who gonna do the beat, Clay? I said, man, you know me and Clay ain't together though, but I got a producer in mind. I had a dude by the name of Daryl Hampton. He wasn't a known producer. Nobody knew that he was even into production.
Right.
So me and him were partners for a while, and he always said, man, if Clay ever mess up, man, just give me one shot. Give me one shot. I promise I'll create a hit for you. I called him and I said, D, I need you to do this for me, bro. He was like, what's good? You gonna let me do a beat? I said, bro, I got the perfect song for you. Sample and recreate Dance to the Drummer's Beat for me. He was like, done. I gave maybe about 2 hours. We go up. He was like, man, come to my crib. Pull up to my crib. So I go get Legs. We pull up to his crib in Carroll City. I'm like, what you got, bro? He got these big speakers in his crib, sound all around. He hit the drum machine. The minute I heard the beat, I knew. I said, yeah, that's the one. So I said, let's try it this way. I said, I want you to get that horn part, put it in the front, and let the horn start it off after Legs say this. I want to see how this feels. I told Legs say his part. And his part was, you always mess with those girls who go for your cash because you don't want to learn. When you mess with those girls, you go for your cash. You always seem to get burned. Bam, boom. I knew that was it. Went into the studio. We cut the record. My label execs liked another record. There was a record called Freaky Marie that I had did prior to Lose My Money. They were bananas about this record. They knew this was just the creme de la creme. They was like, Rod, this is the single. This is the one you need to release. I'm like, no, it's not. I said, Loose My Money, the record we need to release. He was like, no, man, we're not gonna do that. Let's release this. Again, now I'm vying for control.
Right.
That creative control to say, nah, this needs to be the single. And I don't have Clay as a voice, but I've watched what he did and how he got certain leeways with certain things with him. So I kind of used a little piece of the Clay D book to my advantage. And I kind of got in their ass a little bit, like, nah, we're gonna do this. They was like, okay, listen, can we come to a compromise? I said, what's that? They was like, okay, we'll make this the A side. We'll make this the A side, but can we make Freaky Marie the B side? I said, you want to do a B side? You think Freaky Marie that strong? It was like, yeah, that's the record, I promise. We take the single to the club the very first night. We took it to the spot called Tucker's Lounge, right on 27th, right across the street from Miami-Dade. Took it there. The DJ put it on. From the time they heard that opening, they were jumping all on this man's tables. He had to stop the record. He got on the mic. He was like, hold up, y'all not finna tear my damn club up in here over no goddamn record now. You ain't finna do this tonight. Y'all niggas better calm your ass down and get off my furniture. I'm shutting the whole club down. He was like, I understand y'all like this vibe. There's probably something y'all been waiting for a long time, but do this shit with some respect. Respect my place. Man, they put it on again. Everybody was up. I'm looking at the whole club. I'm looking at the ballers coming up to me in legs like, boy, y'all did it. Y'all got one. I'm looking at all the street dudes saluting and checking like, raw, y'all got one, bro. And a couple of dudes came and they like, man, I'm proud of you. You did it without Clay. You showed yourself that you could do it. He said, and that's what you needed to know. You could have been did it by yourself, bro. I said, nah. They said, nah, this is the proof right here. Don't doubt what you've achieved. And I thanked them. You know, I'm a humble dude. I'm real humble. A lot of people see me on social media. They hear me out and about, and they think that I'm this real extroverted person, but I'm really introverted. I've always been a shy person. I'm the shyest dude in the room most of the time. I'll give you a smile or, hey, what's up, a peace and all that. But I'm normally the quietest guy in the room. Whether we in a VIP, whether we out and about, however it goes, that's me. It's always been me. And people can vouch for that for years. But it's the music. They say, man, you have such a big voice to be such a little man. I'm only 5'7". You feel what I'm saying? 170 pounds. So they're like, to be such a little man, you got such a big voice. I thought you was like 6'4". I'm like, no, no, man, I'm a short dude, bro. You know. So that was the history of the Loose My Money record. We vied for the record, and once they realized Loose My Money was the hit, they went bananas with it. That was the first record I could say I watched them kind of try to put a little work to. Because all of the other records that we did, I didn't really see them jump for it, aside from Pull It All the Way Down. That was another big hit, but that's when I was with Clay.
Right. I mean, I liked all of them. It's funny. When you think back on, like, God, dog, I used to dance to that, like, real hard, real heavy.
Yeah, man. Listen, that record took us a lot of places.
Right.
We could tell stock was up because we had transcended into the white clubs and the Hispanic clubs, and now they're booking us consistently. We're on tours with REO Speedwagon, and I'm like, how the hell we get on the tour with a rock? That don't even go together.
Right.
But it happened, you know, by God's grace. It was his design, you know.
Period.
And from a child, a kid, like, yes, say that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said period.
Yeah, period. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I was raised in the church, so it's like, as rugged exterior I have, God's always been in me. You know,
That's right.
And there's times that, you know, he tells the spirit that you have to stand up and you have to be loud and you have to be firm on what you believe in and stand for it and don't back down. So in those moments, I just let the spirit guide me and I do what I'm supposed to do in those moments. I always tell people, don't judge me because he's still working on me. You feel me? He's still working on me. But I'm so glad and grateful that I was able to bring joy to homes. I remember it's that bass music. It's that music that brought smiles to people's faces when they heard records like Scrub the Ground, Young Poison Ivy by Young and Restless, Sally That Girl by the Gucci Crew, Your Mama's on Crack Rock by Disco Rick. These are records that made people smile. You know, people could be having a bad damn day. Loose My Money come on, man, they junkie. I remember seeing people when their hair done, hair laced, girl just came from the goddamn salon. By the time she left out there, clothes soaking wet, hair flat, dudes, silk suits sticking to their bodies. So we brought fun. We were the party. That's all I can say. All my bass counterparts, my brothers and sisters in bass, we were the party.
Okay. Now, since you were the party, what do you have going on next? And tell us about this upcoming concert. Those are my last two questions because we're running out of time.
Yes. What I got coming up next, I'm doing a couple of things. I'm hosting. I've been booked to host a lot of events recently with this one promoter. We've partnered up and he has me on as his host for every event that he throws. So I just locked that deal in, which is a great situation for me because it keeps me working and it keeps me moving. But we have this concert October 6th, North Augusta, South Carolina at the SRP Baseball Stadium. This is 50 years in hip hop. And the South is really going to represent on that show. You got myself, Splack Pack, This and That, 95 South, 69 Boys, Force MDs, Little Vicious, and Dougie Fresh. I mean, this is going to be a party for real.
Back.
This is really about to be a party. And as far as what I'm doing musically, I have a single out now, Bend Over. It's been out for about a year, but I kind of fell back on the promotion for the record. We're trying to work some things out and we're going to re-release the record. But that record wound up being on a compilation that did over 500,000 and went gold before it even was released. So, you know, kudos to my Bend Over. Shout out to my man Cantrell Lopez and Empire over there at Empire Records, man. I salute y'all. I thank y'all for the opportunity. So, you know, I'm working. I'm still working. I'm still creating. I got a lot of great music that I worked on. I have a single that I did with an artist out of South Carolina by the name of Shanice. She's my songbird. I've known her since she was 19, and I mentored her for years. And, you know, she is the bomb, is all I could say. When people hear this record, they're going to fall in love with it because it's that feel-good music. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. Well, we look forward to it, and I just want to wrap it up because I don't want it to cut you off, and I just want to say thank you so much for allotting the time, and I'm a huge fan, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Prince Rahiem here, man. Y'all know what the bub is, baby. 305 life. 305. Sometimes you just gotta put an end to all the bullshit. For real. Big change. Now niggas stay getting big drops. Yeah, I do things. Still making moves in my flip-flop.